Welcome to the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast, a show all about reviewing dinosaurs on a scale of 1 to 10 fossils before only the elite terrible lizards make it into the prehistoric cage match. This program is presented by the Stomp Chomp Roar Company and can be heard within all the rock layers across the planet. Grab your dinosaurs and your official scorecard because it's now time to dig for dinosaurs. Here's your Mesozoic host, Dinosaur Ranger Anthony.
Happy holidays, all my elves and junior paleontologists. Are you having a wonderful holiday season so far this year? I sure hope so. We're just a few more days away from Santa Claus delivering all kinds of gifts to children across the world. Ho, ho, ho! Now today is Thursday, December 21st, and it's officially the first day of winter, so bring on the snow! Now for today's Christmas special, I also have a special treat. I'm joined by my family live here in the studio. They're just sitting a little bit off camera, you guys, wrapping all kinds of gifts for the Christmas season, but I'll more than likely be asking them a few questions throughout this holiday-themed episode. Can you guys all say hello?
Hello!
Awesome, we're just so excited for this Christmas special. Now, Christmas has always been my most favorite time of the year. And as you can guess, my house is decorated with holiday cheer. We have 4 Christmas trees, 5 including Cecilia's up in her room. We have tons of garlands, string lights, and ribbon hanging down. We even have a 2-story wall covered in wrapping paper. I also can't forget about the stockings over the fireplace, the holiday music filling the air, and all the presents wrapped under the Christmas tree. Plus, don't forget about my front yard. It's decorated with 11 different dinosaur Christmas inflatables and a string lights made into an electric fence. This is to keep those merry lizards safe in my front yard. We don't need a real-life Jurassic World now, do we? But hey, if you want to see a picture of my Christmas lights display, then go check out my Facebook page by searching Stomp Chomp Roar. You won't be disappointed, and be sure to like my page while you're there. Now, needless to say, we are definitely ready for the holidays here at the Stomp Chomp Roar House. There's nothing like this magical time of year, and as I record this episode, we are just 3 days away from Christmas Eve, one of my most favorite days out of the whole entire year. Now, before we stomp up to the North Pole for today's frosty review, remember my name is Dinosaur Ranger Anthony, and I'll be your head elf for this episode of the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast. How do you like my elf hat? It's just pretty jolly, isn't it? Now, has anyone seen the movie Elf? You guys, have you seen the movie Elf?
Yeah!
Of course, it's one of our most favorite Christmas movies, you guys, and it's a holiday classic about an elf named Buddy. And you guys, he's not a real elf, but he was raised by elves, and he leaves the North Pole to find his dad down in New York City. Don't you guys remember the scene when Mr. Narwhal says, "Bye, Buddy, I hope you find your dad"? Or what about when he drinks the world's best cup of coffee? I even have a coffee mug right here from one of my junior paleontologists or junior dinosaur rangers, David. Him and his family sent me some awesome gifts, so shout out to you guys so very much. You're so awesome. Have a very Merry Christmas. But back to Elf, you guys. We know about the narwhal, the world's best cup of coffee, or what about when Buddy decorates Gimbel's department store full of Christmas cheer, pennies in heaven, shooby-dooby, and don't forget about 10 a.m. Santa's coming to town. That's one of my favorite lines in the whole movie. Or maybe it's the best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing loud for all to hear. And we might even be singing a Christmas carol before this episode's over. But all this elf talk is partially because this year is the 20th anniversary of the movie Elf. That just makes me feel as old as a dinosaur, doesn't it? I can remember seeing Elf at the Oakview AMC movie theater way back when I was in the 8th grade. Now, before we jump onto our sleighs and head up to Santa Claus's workshop for today's review, let's do our quick fun fact, give an update on the Dino Bus, and roar out some shout-outs. Now, today's genus, everybody, is a very unique type of ceratopsian. We know that many of these ceratopsians, like the Triceratops, almost always have some kind of nose horn. But today's genus didn't have a nose horn at all, or even a shiny red one for that matter. This dinosaur had something we call a nasal boss. But what's a nasal boss, you ask? Well, it's someone in your nose that's the boss of all those ooey gooey boogers. Am I right? Well, not exactly. I guess I'll have to wait and see when we dive into our review to learn more about this nasal godfather-like boss. Now, about the Dino Bus, you guys, no merry updates on the Dino Bus. I wish I could have decorated it full of Christmas lights this year. But regardless, I'm still planning on what the inside's gonna look like. I can't wait, you guys, to decorate the inside full of all kinds of fossils and a dinosaur toy diorama. I have over 200 figures ready to go, and you can bet I'll even get some more on Christmas, I'm sure. Now let's do a few shout-outs, everybody. Shout out to Buddy the Elf. Shout out to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Shout out to Frosty the Snowman, Snoopy, Charlie Brown. Shout out to the Grinch who stole Christmas. Shout out to Snow Miser and Heat Miser. Yeah, you can grab, little Reagan, you can grab your Rudolph picture. Bring me your Rudolph picture. She colored a picture of Rudolph, and since I gave Rudolph a shout-out, we'll go ahead and show that on camera as well. You did a very good job. All right, take it back over there to the presents, okay? So shout out to Ralphie from A Christmas Story. Shout out to Clark Griswold. Shout out to Mariah Carey, my favorite Christmas song. Shout out to my family who's here in the studio. My wife Elace, my daughter Cecilia, and Reagan. And also, last but not least, a shout out to good old Santa Claus and all of his reindeer preparing you guys for Christmas Eve night here in just a few more days. Now let's join all the elves inside Santa Claus's workshop because it's time to review our next dinosaur genus. Let's grab our scorecards, our wooden hammers, and some toys because it's time for our next review. It's showtime! Here we go, all my elves and junior paleontologists. It's time to learn about our next dinosaur genus. And today, we're talking about one of my favorite ceratopsians, the Pachyrhinosaurus. It's the Pachyrhinosaurus. Are you guys ready to learn about this one?
Yeah!
Perfect! It's just an amazing ceratopsian. And this one's name means the thick-nosed lizard. It's the thick-nosed lizard, or the Pachyrhinosaurus. Now, what type of dinosaur was this? I already mentioned it's a ceratopsian, but when we look at the dinosaur order, first it's a dinosaur, and then an ornithischian. Those are bird-hipped dinosaurs before it falls into a subgroup, the Marginocephalia, and those are either the frilled dinosaurs or the dome-headed dinosaurs, and then it falls into the family, the ceratopsians, which are the frilled and horned. But this one doesn't have a true horn on its nose, and we'll get to more about that in just a minute. But how big was this dinosaur? What was the length, the height, and the weight of our Pachyrhinosaurus? Well, this one's up to 26 feet long, or 8 meters. It's up to 10 feet high and 3 meters, and it can weigh up to 4 tons, or 8,000 pounds. So very sort of elephant-like that we would have living around today when we look at its weight. So very, very cool ceratopsian. It's not as big as our Triceratops, but it's still up there on probably the higher side of their length, their height, their weight than many of those other ceratopsians. Now, how fast was this dinosaur? How quick was it running back during the Mesozoic era? Well, our Pachyrhinosaurus is running from 20 to 25 miles per hour. It's in a quadrupedal stance. That means it's walking on 4 legs. It has 4 short column-like legs to be specific. And this one's probably running a little bit away from the T-Rex. We know our T-Rex maybe 18, 20 miles per hour. So our Pachyrhinosaurus might have been able to get away a little bit as it's running away from that T-Rex back during the Cretaceous period. Now let's get to its characteristics. What weapons or defense did this dinosaur have? have. What did our Pachyrhinosaurus look like? Well, as I mentioned before, this one, no nose horn. Our Pachyrhinosaurus doesn't have a horn on its nose, and it's not even red like Rudolph. But this one has a large, flat, bony growth called a nasal boss, and it's sort of padded. So think about maybe like the bottom of your shoe or the bottom of a boot, the sole, that would be sitting on its nose, where the horn would be on the Triceratops. So it has somewhat of this flat, bony growth, kind of padded, probably a little bit leathery, you guys, with their skin, and that is what is a nasal boss. So I have one here in my science lab studio. I love this toy. It's green, one of my favorite colors, and if you look at it, it has that little padded, bony growth at the end we call a nasal boss. Now, what is it used for? Was it used for defense, kind of like how we see rhinos today, charging at animals, their predators, when they feel threatened? Maybe we see a little bit of interspecies butting, and that's when two family members, two friends, are kind of butting their heads together, maybe fighting for territory, or maybe just playing around in their herd or whatnot, doing all kinds of fun things, maybe even a little bit of reindeer games. Now, we also see a boss over their eye. So they have that nasal boss, then there's kind of like a groove, a ridge that separates it from the other one, and then there's a smaller boss that's a little bit over their eyes, but not as big as their nasal boss. Now, when we look at like the Triceratops, they have that big, those horns, you guys. Some scientists think that maybe those horns were just for display. So if they were for just display, then maybe the nasal boss is even just as good as horns. Horns down, right? We're Husker fans. Horns down for those Longhorns. But you guys, the nasal boss would have just still been very cool for our Pachyrhinosaurus. You truly didn't need any horns. That nasal boss is just as cool. And if it would shine bright red, that would just be even better. Now, we even see a couple species that had somewhat of a comb-like extension at the tip of their boss. So if you picture a comb when you comb your hair, picture that at the very end of the nasal boss, giving it some kind of a weird, rigid-like extension right there at the tip of their nasal boss. Now, this one does still have horns, just no horns on its nose. So this one has two upward horns at the center of its frill. So when we look at the center line of its frill, it has two horns right there, you guys, that are pointing upward. Then it has two backwards pointing horns on the top of its frill. So it has those up there at the top that are pointing a little to the sides, a little backwards, you guys. Then it's filled with all kinds of hornets or ornaments, a ton of little tiny bony horns all around the frill, making it up, and even has those little hornets or tiny little horns on its cheeks like we see on many of the other types of ceratopsians. So no horn on its nose, but still some horns on its frill, you guys, and has that nasal boss, setting it apart from the rest of those ceratopsians. Now, what are some other characteristics? It has a parrot-like beak like the rest of them, with those cheek teeth, and it's eating all kinds of low-lying plants, like cycads, you guys, and ferns, all kinds of low-lying vegetation. All those cycad plants, you guys, that would have been just the perfect lunch, the perfect Christmas dinner for our Pachyrhinosaurus. Now, it has somewhat of a bulky, barrel-chested body with four short column-like legs, like I mentioned before. Their body's very rhino, almost elephant-like, and it's just very bulky. They're eating all kinds of greens. They have that stiff tail behind them, helping them keep balance as they're running throughout their environment, maybe trying to get away from all kinds of predators. Now, at the bottom of their four short column-like legs, we have 18 toes altogether. I've read that we've got 5 toes on each front foot and 4 toes on each back foot. Now, the front feet, you guys, 3 of those 5 toes had somewhat claws on them, and the toes on the back feet, all 4 toes, were somewhat hoof-like. Now, our Pachyrhinosaurus hatched from eggs like the rest of the dinosaurs. It lived in a herd system, you guys, and I wonder if it was a matriarchal system like we see on elephants today, where the female is in control of the herd. It's like the president of the whole herd. They are the leader. Now, we also see broken and healed ribs, and and that shows signs of flanking, when family members and friends would kind of ram into the sides of each other and whatnot. Maybe it was even from like a T-Rex attack that tried to get them from the side. Those were broken ribs, they healed, so we know that they made it past either the flanking or the attack from some sort of predator because the ribs healed. Now we also see something really interesting about our Pachyrhinosaurus in the growth rates. I haven't talked too much about this on other episodes, but I read it about our Pachyrhinosaurus. Now after they hatched from an egg, by their first birthday, they were 28% fully grown. So just over a quarter fully grown. Now by their second birthday, they were 50% fully grown. So half the way fully grown after their second birthday, or by their second birthday. But then after that, it slows down really slow, because then they won't be to full size, a full adult, until 20 years old. So that's a little bit of characteristics, you guys, about our Pachyrhinosaurus. Remember, no nose horn, but that nasal horn, or that nasal boss, is still pretty cool nonetheless. We don't need any of those horns, especially if they were just for display anyway, am I right? Now, where did this dinosaur live, and how long did this genus live back during the Mesozoic era in the middle life? Well, this one is living 70 to 65 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period. Now, it's found in North America, and you guys, it might have even lived in the snow up at Santa Claus's workshop. We find bones of this creature in Alaska, in northern Canada. So it would have probably snowed up there a little bit. So maybe our Pachyrhinosaurus even would have seen snow. Because even though we think about way back when with the dinosaurs, we know Pangea is one big continent, everything's moving around, the continents don't control the temperature. The Earth's tilt controls the temperature. So since the Earth is tilted and we kind of revolve around the sun in a tilted way, sometimes we're closer to the sun and sometimes we're more further away from the sun, and that leads us to our temperature swings and gives the Earth its seasons from summer, spring, fall, and winter, which is where we're at now. So our Pachyrhinosaurus might have dashed through the snow. Now, it was found in 1946, named in 1950 by a famous paleontologist, Charles M. Sternberg. Now, they also found this one in 1880, but they knew that it probably wasn't any kind of theropod, mega meat-eating dinosaur. They didn't care about the poor Pachyrhinosaurus, so they said, hey, we're not even going to look or describe these fossils. We're going to put them in a warehouse somewhere, let them sit there, and we're going to keep looking for some T-Rex-like dinosaurs with big sharp teeth. And then it was found again in 1946, named in 1950, like I mentioned. Now, it was hunted by the T-Rex, the Albertosaurus, theropods up there in the northern North America, you guys, like I mentioned. And we also see migrating signs, you guys, where we find mass graves. They found a mass grave of Pachyrhinosaurus, 3,500 bones. That's 3,500 bones, 14 different skulls, and they were from all different ages of the herd. From little babies, you guys, infants, to probably some teenage Pachyrhinos, to even some adult Pachyrhinosaurs. So very sad. They were migrating probably between Alaska, Alberta, and Canada, you guys, maybe coming down a little bit into the United States, and they found that bone bed. So what happened, scientists believe that a flooded river crossing led to this mass grave up at the Pipestone Creek bone bed in Western Canada. So you guys, that is a little bit more about our Pachyrhinosaurus on our Christmas themed episode for today. A quick recap: our Pachyrhinosaurus, you guys, 26 feet long, 10 feet high, 8,000 pounds, running 20 to 25 miles per hour. No nose horn, but that bony growth, that padded, somewhat shoe sole-like growth on its nose, you guys, they could use for maybe a little bit of display defense, some interspecies budding. We still have horns on the frill, on the center line of the frill, on the top, all those hornets around the frill, on the cheek. We have the parrot-like beak, the cheek teeth, those four column-like legs with all their toes, a bulky, barrel-chested body, just like Santa Claus. Ho, ho, ho! And they hatched from eggs. We know they lived in herds because we found the mass bone bed, you guys. So the mass grave was found. So we know they're living in somewhat of a herd system. So that's going to really be a big defense when it comes to this one. And it lived back during the late Cretaceous period. But you guys, let's give our Christmas score for our Pachyrhinosaurus. At the end of the day, what is this one going to receive on Christmas Eve? You guys, I wanted to give this one a 7.5. A 7.5 for our Pachyrhinosaurus, which is what I kind of liked was if you do Christmas Day, which is 1225, and times that by 3, we get 75. So 7.5 is perfect for our Pachyrhinosaurus here for our Christmas themed episode. 7.5 for the Pachyrhinosaurus on the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast. Now, wasn't that just the boss of all the podcasts? Well, maybe not the boss, but it definitely still a pretty cool ceratopsian that has that nasal boss. It's truly one of my favorite dinosaurs of all time. And I should also add, this dinosaur in sorts has become many people's favorite thanks to the role in the Disney's Dinosaur in 2000 and Walking with Dinosaurs in 2013. This dinosaur is a movie star, and in today's review, it scored a 7.5 into the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast Stomp of Fame. But if only its nasal boss shine bright red, then maybe it would go down in history. Just kidding, this dinosaur is already a part of history. It's called fossil history. Now, as you remember, after each review, I'm doing a short interview with one of my Patreon club members. So let's head up back into Santa Claus's workshop and meet another junior dinosaur ranger. Now today I'm joined by one of my Raptor Pack members on my Patreon club, and this junior dinosaur ranger I met way back in 2020 when I had my curbside package. Since then, this ranger and his family have become a large supporters for my small business. I've been to his school for his birthday. I've seen them so many times out in public events around the area, and they've even been to my Christmas lights drive-by event. We even had it yesterday. I just seen you yesterday. But let's all give a warm winter welcome to Junior Dinosaur Ranger Lincoln. Hello and welcome, Lincoln. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good. Are you excited for your interview?
Yes.
Awesome. So am I. Now, first things first, what I always like to ask all my Junior Dinosaur Rangers, are you team herbivore or team carnivore?
Carnivore.
I knew you were team carnivore, loving all those meat eaters, huh? Why do you think you're team carnivore?
Most of my favorite dinosaurs are carnivore.
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue into my next question. What is your favorite dinosaur?
It's between two.
Yeah, what are they?
The rat and the
Which was the first one?
the rat
Velociraptor?
and forgot the other one that spits acid in the movie.
Oh yeah, the Dilophosaurus.
Yeah,
with the big frill, huh? The double-crested lizard. But yeah, the frill, the little acid, just for our movies, as we know. But yeah, Velociraptor, Dilophosaurus. Now, interesting enough, why they gave the Dilophosaurus the acid and the little frill thing that opens up, because they wanted it to look different from the Velociraptors in the movie. So they gave it those extra things so it could look different when we seen it in the movies a bunch. But back to our interview, what is your most favorite dinosaur memory? Do you have a favorite book or a museum as a kid, a favorite toy? What's your most favorite dinosaur memory when you think about it?
It was probably when I go to this one place. I forgot when it was. It was like when I was 4. Then you got on a ladder, and then you got onto this dinosaur, and then it would like do automatic things.
Very like an animatronic,
Mhm.
like a
It'll
robot moving around.
like down, and then you would have a little spot to sit on.
Very cool, very cool. Was it a meat eater or was it a herbivore?
Rex.
A T-Rex? Of course, so then you're team carnivore for sure. All these cool meat eaters, huh? Now, sadly, on today's podcast, I reviewed a herbivore. And today I gave the Pachyrhinosaurus a 7.5. Do you think that was a good score for this ceratopsian dinosaur?
Yes.
Perfect. Right underneath our Triceratops with the rest of those ceratopsians. He is a pretty cool dinosaur. I know you were doing a little bit of research on him. Do you want to say maybe a fun fact about the Pachyrhinosaurus?
Yeah, they're 4,400 pounds to 8,800 pounds.
Yeah, that's right. So they were pretty big, kind of like the size of a modern elephant we have walking around our planet today. Now, the theme for my episode was all about elves and being inside in Santa Claus's workshop. Are you excited for the holiday season?
Yes.
Perfect. Is there something you're really looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to going to my grandpa's and spending Christmas there.
Awesome. That'll be tons of fun. Yeah, I always love going to my grandparents' house for over the holidays. Now, do you have any dinosaurs on your Christmas list or any other favorite toys?
Uh One of my toys that I've been wanting was a Spinosaurus and a T-Rex.
Very cool. Then maybe they can fight each other, huh?
Mhm.
Or be friends and go after all those herbivores like my Pachyrhinosaurus right here. Very cool. Very cool. Is there any awesome Christmas traditions you guys do at your house?
Uh Not
Like maybe going out and do you go out and look at Christmas lights or bake Christmas cookies?
we we mostly just sit at home and open presents.
That's
But we
always tons of fun, huh?
a lot of places. Like on Christmas, we mostly go to 4 different places.
Very nice. Yeah, we go all over the place too. Since I'm married, I go to my dad's house, my wife's grandparents' house. We even go to her grandparents' house that are out in North Platte, Nebraska, like 3 hours and 45 minutes away. So we're just always everywhere over the holiday season. But Lincoln, thank you so much for joining me for today. Did you have a great time?
Yes.
Awesome. And do you have any last roars or any last words for our listeners listening to today's podcast?
I wanted to say a couple more facts.
Yeah, go ahead.
That it was about the Pachyrhinosaurus. I was thinking of saying that their name is known for being the thick-nosed lizard.
That's right. They have that big nasal boss on it, huh? What if it shined bright like Rudolph? Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be
That would be
crazy.
totally awesome. It would be like Santa's Rudolph. That would be super cool for all the prehistoric dinosaurs. Did you have one more?
Yeah, they lived in the desert.
They're living in somewhat of a desert region, huh? And they're going to find a lot of them up there in like northern North America. So, like Alaska, Alberta up there. So, they might have even seen snow back then. That would have been wild to see them kind of dashing around a snowy climate. But Lincoln, thank you so much for joining me for today. I hope you and your family have a very Merry Christmas this next weekend and a very awesome Happy Holidays over the New Year, okay?
Okay.
Perfect. I'll see you later, all right? Happy holidays.
Okay, bye.
Now, if you're interested in becoming a junior dinosaur ranger, then just dash on over to my website by searching stompchomproar.com. And while you're there, you can also find a link to my prehistoric store. This is where you can find my homemade dinosaur dig kits, my sand slime kits, my fossil salt dough kits, and Stomp Chomp Roar kids t-shirts for sale. All these items help support my small business and are perfect for under the Christmas tree. Now let's go ahead and start our joke for today, you guys. What was Santa Claus's favorite music artist? Do you guys know what was Santa Claus's favorite music artist? Well, he happens to would be one of my all-time favorites, you guys. It's Elfish Presley! Come on, baby! Thank you very much. Do you guys know Elvis? It's not Elvis, it's Elfish Presley, an elf up at the North Pole, singing to Santa Claus as he's getting ready for Christmas Eve night. Now let's go ahead and start our question for today. You guys, what dinosaur species do you think would have made the best reindeer for a prehistoric Santa Claus? Would it have been the T-Rex? I don't think so, right? We need something with 4 legs like the reindeer, a quadrupedal dinosaur. So any kind of ceratopsian, I think would have just been perfect. Maybe a bunch of different ceratopsians, like our Pachyrhinosaurus, our Triceratops, our Styracosaurus, our Cosmoceratops. There's just so many, they go on and on and on. So much diversity within that ceratopsian family. They truly are some of the awesome ones. But hey, you decide which dinosaur genus or species would have pulled Santa's sleigh on Christmas Eve night. But hey, how was everyone's time inside Santa Claus's workshop? I can't believe we're only a few days away from the Christmas holiday. Now, no matter what you do, always believe in the magic of Christmas. This time of year is so much more than just presents wrapped under the tree. Don't forget to cherish your family and your loved ones around you. And that's half the reason why I invited my family down to the studio for this live recording. The time you get to spend with your family, you guys, is the best gift that anyone can give you. Just ask the dinosaurs what they think. Oops, too soon? Now, you guys, we gotta do one last thing before we send us off into the Christmas season. And since my wife, Elise, is a music teacher over at Hitchcock Elementary, I think we need to do a quick sing-along and a Christmas carol to send everybody into the holiday season. What do you guys think?
Yeah!
Let's go, everyone. Come on over. We're coming into the studio right on camera, you guys. We'll grab our jingle bells and everything for this exciting time of the season. We've got Cecilia. Come on over. We've got Elise, we've got little Reagan right here, and we're ready to send you guys off. And we're going to do a classic. We've got some jingle bells. Lift that up. Here, let me move my microphone a little bit to the center. Let me clear my throat. Have a little sip of my hot cocoa. Or, I mean, it's my coffee with some pumpkin spice in it, you guys. Even a little whipped cream. Perfect for the holiday season. But you guys, let's do this, all right? We'll grab my hammer. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. Over the fields we go, laughing all the way. Ha, 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 bells are bound to ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, there we have it, you guys. Jingle bells. We're not going to keep going, you guys. We know you guys get the point. It's the Christmas season. Now, you guys remember, my name is Dinosaur Ranger Anthony, your head elf for today's review, all about the Pachyrhinosaurus. And as always, keep digging for dinosaurs. Everybody, this last line right here. Merry Christmas to all, and to all my junior paleontologists, good night. That's right. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
Ta-da!